I'm a very bad Muslim. I don't practice, I don't pray, I don't fast, I don't cover myself, I drink alcohol. And then suddenly I decided to pray. So will that prayer be accepted? So they question where they stand in the eyes of religion. The second most frequently asked question is, if there is God, why is there so much evil that exists in this world?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to Season 2 of Tune Islam, a podcast for Singapore Muslim millennials on Islamic faith, love and happiness. Here's where we share spiritual guidance and practical insights to inspire positivity and uplift our well-being. My name is Azzah Fariha and I will be your host for today. Joining us today, we have Ustazah Liyana Musfirah, who is a member of the Asatiza Youth Network. She is also the founder of Liyana Musfirah Network, which is a thriving women's learning hub. She also has launched the Haya Network, providing professional help for mental illness through religion and education. Welcome, Ustazah. Thanks for joining us again.
Thank you for having me, Azzah. So good to be back.
Now, Ustazah, today our topic that we would like to explore and talk to you about with regards to your experience is about doubt. Now, this is a very sensitive topic and might not be applicable to some people, but it's still a topic that we would like to explore based on your expertise and, your people that you've talked to and all that. I would like to ask you, Ustazah, why or what does doubt look like?
Well, good question, Azzah. I feel, based on my personal understanding of what doubt is, for me, doubt is a feeling of uncertainty because the information is not within my control.
Okay.
I think it's a feeling that I'm uncomfortable with because I think as human, it's just valid for us to want things to be on a certain way. Is this black or is this white? Mm-hmm. Is this good or is this bad? Mm-hmm. Right? So doubt is something that's in between. So because there's no certainty to it, it gives us that form of discomfort. Mm-hmm. So because it's neither here nor there, so we don't know what to do with it. Yep. So I think that's doubt. It's a feeling of uncertainty, of discomfort, and it makes me kind of like lose control because I don't have what do you call it? Power.
A specific answer.
Yes. What about you? What does doubt mean to you?
I think similarly, Ustazah, doubt sounds like that. But it's very rare that I'm being put in a situation where I'm not sure whether or I doubt a certain topic, whether this is right or whether this is wrong. Because I think I grew up in a family, or the way I was brought up is in a way that this is very right and this is wrong. This is absolutely right, this is absolutely wrong. So you should not do this, you should not do that. You should do this, you should do that. So I think even though it's very rare, I'm sure it's very uncomfortable for me to feel or doubt certain things. It might not be my faith, it might be other things.
Yeah.
My abilities.
Yeah.
Whether I'm raising my kids the right way.
Yeah.
It's a very large topic. But doubt, I think in regards to faith, is something that we can talk about and explore.
I think doubt is part of every human's DNA. We are constantly doubting whether we're enough, we're doing enough, whether we will be accepted. So it's part of us. But I think in today's conversation, maybe we can explore what do we do with the doubt? Because we cannot completely dismiss it. We cannot completely shove it aside. So when doubt comes to visit us, like, what do we do with it? And then today is about when you have doubt in God, when you have doubt in your faith. So as Muslims, how do we navigate ourselves when doubt starts to knock again? Yeah.
But first, Ustazah, I want to ask the question of what does doubt in our faith look like? Is it what questions do we ask ourselves? What situations are we being put in for us to be able to doubt our faith?
I think for myself, I've been teaching for more than 10 years. Some of the most frequently asked questions in class is, Ustazah, I have done so much wrong things in life. Will God still look at me? So they put themselves in the same pedestal as how they see or how they imagine God receiving them. So because they are unable to, I think because they are unable to embrace themselves, their past self, so they start to question, what about God? Will God start to accept me back? So that is one of the most popular questions. Ustazah, I'm a very bad Muslim. I don't practice, I don't pray, I don't fast, I don't cover myself, I drink alcohol, and then suddenly I decided to pray. So will that prayer be accepted? So they question where they stand in the eyes of religion. The second most frequently asked question is, if there is God, why is there so much evil that exists in this world? You know, there's oppression, there's death, there's bullying, there's a lot aggression, right? So what is God doing about it? So they doubt the circumstances, they doubt the feelings that they had, they doubt who they are in the eyes of religion. So every single external influence can add on to their doubt. So for example, if we look at one of my students, she has never prayed for her entire 40 years of her life. So it was this fasting month that she decided to pray and fast. Despite already performing her prayers and despite already fasting, she couldn't feel safe with herself because she kept saying, are you sure God accepted that prostration? Are you sure, Ustazah? But then the problem is, she's asking me, and I'm not God. I'm not a representative of God, right? But because her doubt is something that she's uncomfortable to sit with, and she needed something to validate her prayer. She needed someone to acknowledge that she's praying.
Yes, yep.
She needed answers. So she said, Ustazah, I remember, and Tarawih, our Ramadan prayers is long. Every single time she ended one set, she would ask, would that one be accepted? So because she has viewed herself as someone completely different in the past 40 years, that 20 minutes of her being a truly remarkable Muslim, she couldn't accept it. So that was, I think, when we talk about how does doubt looks like, doubt comes in multiple form. Doubt can look like completely different for you. For you, Azzah, for me it's different, and for this student of mine it's completely different. So when they come, sometimes they come in waves, sometimes it comes a little bit, and then sometimes it comes attacking you with full intensity. So she asked, Ustazah, does God accept? Because if he doesn't accept, I'm not going to continue praying.
Yeah.
So it becomes transactional, you know? So I think what we should explore in this conversation is that when someone doesn't give you the answer that can address your doubt, what do you do? What do you do with it? Yeah, so if Azzah, you ask me something, Ustazah, am I a good mother? And for me, in my eyes, Azzah, you're a remarkable mother. But then you go back home and then you failed in something again. And then you ask me, am I a good mother? Because I just scream at my kids. So what I'm saying is that doubt is going to keep coming.
Yeah. But does that mean you're going to stop?
Exactly. What are we going to do about it?
That's such a good way of putting it, Ustazah, because then it brings along a set of understanding that no matter what, there is a set of rules that you follow regardless of whether doubt eats you up or not.
Yep. I personally feel, Azzah, when students come to me and say, Ustazah, this is what I'm feeling. I think I'm not a good Muslim. I just performed the repentance prayer, but I think God doesn't accept. For me, at that point of time, I don't know what kind of answers they needed or what kind of answers they wanted. But for me, as someone who is a receiver of someone who comes with doubt, we are not in a position that we have to correct them. And because we feel that, no, that's not true. So when people come with doubt, they usually, they just want to be heard. Perhaps they just want to be validated and acknowledged. But when we receive those kind of, what do we call it, sharing or confession, we immediately felt the need to correct them. So based on my experience, correcting is actually quite dangerous. Because it might bring them more doubt. So instead of like, no, you're a good Muslim, what I ask is, why do you feel like that? So it allows them to stay with the doubt without dismissing it, because I don't know about you, but I'm raised in a way that we cannot have doubt. You're supposed to be fully certain, firm.
And it's dangerous if you have doubt.
It's dangerous. You cannot even go there.
Correct.
I've been raised in a position where nope, it's either black or white. But what about blackish white? You know, as a young girl, I said, what about blackish white? So I feel, in my experience, as when these students, they they come with their vulnerable self and they truly ask, will God accept me? And then if you are in a position where you correct them, no, what you're saying is wrong. It's like you're dismissing the doubt that they're feeling. And I fully believe that doubt has a function. It's doubt has a purpose. So when it comes to you, you don't throw it away, you don't dismiss it, you don't pretend it's not there. You got to figure out what does this doubt want you to do with it. So when they come, instead of correcting them, I would say, why do you ask this question? Well, where is this coming from? So when you doubt that God accept your prayer, are you questioning God's mercy for you, or are you feeling sad because you wish you could have prayed sooner?
Yeah.
So it became a conversation. It became attending instead of correcting. That's
that makes so much sense. And I think those who are feeling that way will really appreciate
I hope so.
the embracing, factor that you give them.
Because right now, Azzah, we are very big on correcting. That's not how you do it. That's not how you pray.
Yeah.
That's not how you think of God. It's like we put religion in a box. But my box, my faith, my connection with God is very different than how, if I ask Azzah, how does your box of faith look like?
Yeah.
It's something else, right? My box of faith is something else. But right now, we are in a position where we are forcing people to deal with the religion in a certain way. But doubt is a gift, it's an emotion, it's a feeling. So if you dismiss it, it's you're denying God's gift.
Yeah.
That's what I'm feeling. Yeah.
That's a great precedent to take. My next question then to you, Ustazah, like when we talk about doubt, it usually stems from inside us.
Yeah.
We usually go through something, or like someone close to us tells us something, and then like we have doubt. But there are certain cases or instances where our doubt comes from, for example, world issues.
Yep.
The things that we read. Like you mentioned just now, one of your students said, if God exists, then why is there so many bad things happening? There are external factors that causes you to have doubt. In these kind of situations, how would you recommend someone who has doubt to behave or to react?
Beautiful question. I think it's very important for us to take a pause. I think in Hayat, we are always introducing the framework of possibility. Not possibilities, but
Pause. Oh, nice.
ability.
That's a good
The
play of
ability
word.
to pause. Because when you take a moment, you start to see doubt in a different way. So you ask more questions that can actually add certainty to that first layer of uncertainty. Am I talking in circles, Azzah?
No, that's perfectly fine, because now we know that, like, not just internally, there are external factors, and what can you do when you are faced with certain feelings
and it's so convoluted, Azzah, we don't even know where to begin. So when a person has so much doubt, like, they think is doubt, Ustazah, does God love me? But I see it as because your parents are not validating your hijrah journey, because your friends are not supportive of your prayer journey, because you have issues with self-esteem. So doubt comes together with many other emotions that we also have to take care of. So that's why when we constantly correct, it's quite harmful. But instead, when we attend, what's going on? So sometimes I automatically change my voice. So they come like, Ustazah, does God accept my prayer? I read the longest surah, just now, for example. Then I would come and say, what's going on? Why would you come up with such question? What do you feel? So the doubt becomes a conversation instead of just a baggage.
feeling, like just one-sided. Our faith goes through cycles of ups and downs. Sometimes I feel guilty that my faith is not as strong as I know it can be. But being a good Muslim doesn't mean that our iman must always be at its peak. Feeling doubt and anxiety is part of human nature. So always remember to be patient and embrace every effort to guide ourselves back to Allah subhanahu. Thank you for sharing the experience with your students, Azzah. I think that it's a lot of stories that we would like to hear and learn from. It's very important, I feel, to know what other people are also feeling. There is one story that I would like to mention. This story that we have is well covered on Muslim.Sg's Instagram. So we asked our followers on Instagram to know whether they have experienced some doubts in Islam and how they regain their conviction. All right. So that means we are really asking for personal stories. Correct. So I would like to also note that the stories that we are going to share are excerpts and they might not represent the complete narrative. And these individuals who are sharing their stories, they are anonymous. They want to remain anonymous, and we would also like for them to remain anonymous. Additionally, we want to also preface that these excerpts with a trigger warning for mentions of suicide. All right. So he or she, I'm just going to say he. I don't know whether it's a he or she, so I'm just going to say he, okay? So his friends and him, they are a mixed bag of faiths and cultures. Some of them converted to Islam. Some of them left Islam. Some were born Muslim, some were not. But this group of friends, they struggled with addictions like alcoholism. And they have very open conversations when they get together. They have open conversations about faith, religion, and some of the conversations they were tied to issues raised in a TV show titled The Good Place. And they sometimes talk about sins, what happens when you do something, or is it a heaven or hell, the concept of heaven or hell, and so on and so forth, right? So this person, his faith started to struggle because he was reading religious books and attending religious classes, but he also felt internally depleted by very mundane life disappointments. And there was a sense of emptiness weighing on his mind. It always made the glass look half empty. It got to a point where his daily prayers, so he is Muslim and he does his daily prayers, it felt like mere rituals, and he was just doing it for the sake of getting it done. So he was always distracted and there's no khushu'. So what he didn't know back then was that he was experiencing depression. Although his friends never pressured him, the feeling of emptiness made him feel alone. So even when he was sharing with his friends about his faith and Islam and religion and all that, he felt alone. Yeah, and their banter was lighthearted, but when he started to feel depressed, he felt pressured to defend Islam when talking to them. Yeah. So when COVID-19 hit, he started to have suicidal ideations. When he looked at the news and stories of people losing their loved ones to COVID, he started to ask questions, just like your students. Where is God in all of this? Why is this happening? He started to feel emptier and emptier. He stopped talking to those around him, and his dark thoughts about the world and life itself just made him spiral downwards. Moving forward, his clinical depression diagnosis led him to being prescribed medication and therapy. And amazingly, he said the medicine did make that dark, overwhelming feeling of emptiness stop growing, and then it shrunk. So even though medication made that sense of emptiness shrink, he still had all those dark questions that he had during those early pandemic days. And he wanted them to be answered. How did he recover? As he recovered, he learned that one impactful story was the story of Prophet Musa and Khidir. Prophet Musa also had so many questions about the bad things that happened in front of his eyes, but he only learned about the reasons afterwards. Alright? And now, after going through everything and learning so much more about Islam, he trusts Allah's timings and plans. With someone whose story is like this one, how will you advise, or how would you attend to your students if they are presenting you with stories like this?
I would like to use this opportunity. We would like to use this opportunity to congratulate the person for sending in this sharing.
Sharing.
I think this is one of the brilliant example where you have doubt, you share it at a space, this platform. So thank you for your courage, and may your story inspire more individuals to reach out and share their doubt at safety platforms.
Inshallah, Ameen.
So in this case, for example, someone who's constantly having dark thoughts, and he has no idea that it's actually depression. He thought it's perhaps maybe, the whispers of shaitan. Maybe it's just darkness, my internal voices of chaos, right? So the fact that he founded his own soul searching, he discovered that he needed medication. this just proved that doubt has a function, right?
Because then you're affirming your faith.
Exactly. So how do you find out more about God? By asking questions. How do you find out more about the prophets? By asking questions. How do you find out about how much Allah loves you? By being uncertain about whether or not Allah loves you or not. So if we put doubt in a different position, we can actually slowly realize that it's actually very healthy if we know how to navigate it.
Yes.
The problem is sometimes we give our doubt to the wrong places or to the wrong people.
Yeah.
So instead of feeling better, you feel even more smaller.
Or you go further and further away
In
from
doubt,
where you're intended to be.
you are drowning in the spiral of doubt. Instead of finding some essence of certainty, you become even more uncertain. And that's what we don't want. In religion, in Quran, Allah said, if you're not sure of something, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ. If you don't know of something, if you don't know of a particular matter, you have to ask someone who knows about it. So in this case, you don't know where you stand in the eyes of religion, you ask the teachers, you ask the scholars. If you don't know about Quran, some of the messages in the Quran, you ask someone who's teaching the Quran. If you don't know about the sickness that you might be diagnosed with, you find a therapist, you find a counselor. So it's more of about what do you do with this doubt. You know you have it, you know it keeps coming back. Who are you going to share this doubt with? So if you share it with the right people, some form of answers or some form of certainties can be resolved, but there are still some that might not be answered. Yeah, so I think doubt is healthy.
Yeah, that's definitely true. In your answer, you mentioned that if you don't know, then ask the teachers. And all that.
Yeah.
What solution do you recommend then? Like how, for example, if I have a friend who's going through this, what will you tell me to tell her? Where to go? Like really, the answer.
Yeah. If this is about faith, I think she needs to find a religious teacher that can fit with her thought processes at the moment. We have more than 5,000 religious teachers, Muslim religious teachers in Singapore. But sometimes when we present the doubt to them, the answers can be completely different. You're not supposed to think of God this way.
Yeah.
So then that person goes back and feeling even more, then I don't stand anywhere. Where do I stand in the eyes of religion?
Yeah.
I know this is difficult, but in the process of seeking and searching, you got to find the right fit. So your doubt is like a jigsaw puzzle. You have to test where it fits. And some asatiza will give you very disappointing answers, and some asatiza will validate what you're feeling and help you feel better. Yeah, and I think what we also forget is like the friends that we mix with. Azzah, like the Prophet ﷺ said, like human or mankind, they are like bricks of building blocks. So we build on each other. So if you're in a circle and you see a few friends who are, I don't know, they are in the dark loom of doubt.
Yeah.
So what kind of support can you offer?
Get from them, yeah.
Instead of correcting, how can you attend to them? Yeah, so
you need to be able to plug yourself away from the people that cannot give you answers. Instead, find.
Yeah. But sometimes I think sometimes answers can also cause you more doubt. You know, like you ask me about God, then when I give you answers about God,
then
it makes you more doubtful. Then where do you go? So if you ask me, Azzah, I think as a Muslim, as a believer, we forgot sometimes that we are created with this core resilience inside of us. Although we don't have 100% full certainty of God, we have experienced some form of certainty. So for example, my student asked, Ustazah, how do I know that God loves me? How maybe I can ask you that. Azzah, how do you know that God loves you?
How do I answer this question?
Yeah. So do you go in doubt? Like, no, I don't know. Does God really love me? Like some students will say, Ustazah, how do I know that God loves me? I don't know.
Yeah.
Right? But for me, if people ask me, Ustazah, how do you know that God loves you? Like my daughter actually asks, Mama, how do we know that Allah actually loves us?
Yeah.
How do we know?
How do we know?
So I didn't know what to answer. I'm a religious teacher. I don't know how to answer. So I said, because I have been put in some circumstances in my life that I knew it wasn't humans doing, it was definitely God.
Yeah.
So I have had walked through enough experiences in my life that I knew, oh, this is God. Like I almost got into an accident. I cannot remember. It was I cannot remember when it was. It was in Singapore. I knew the moment I didn't check my blind spot. Luckily, I was alone, Azzah. And then I went to exit PIE. I didn't check the blind spot, and I knew. As a driver, I knew I was definitely going to get hit.
Yeah.
But I don't know what happened. I didn't. I was safe. The car got safe. So it was those kind of moments that at moments of doubt, I would remember those kind of moments. God did bring me to protection in some cases.
Yeah. It's just some points in life or some experiences that you have, some situations that you're in will just be, oh, Allah.
That must be God's work. It cannot be anyone else.
Yeah.
So in that moment of doubt, it's good that they have doubt. It's good that they are asking questions. But when you see that they are going a little bit too far, that's when you get them to come back.
Yeah.
Hold on, come back. Don't go too far. Come back. Come back to this safe space. When was the last time you felt that form of security, that form of attachment we've got? When was the last time you felt safe? So I think we should allow every Muslim to go through the process of doubt, questioning, seeking answers. But then when it gets a little too far, hold on, come back. What does your heart say? Yeah.
That's a very good way of putting it, because we are all a work in progress.
Yeah.
So even though we ask questions like, how do we know that God loves us and all that? It's the same way we expect, the answer that we can expect to hear is that there is no tangible measure.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's something you go through, it's something you feel, but if that's something that you feel makes you feel safe and secure, then it's right.
Yep. You're right. There's no measure. It's not a measuring cup.
Yeah.
It's not,
It's not like, oh, I love you, then you get a kiss on the cheek, or, how we kiss our children.
This is God that we're talking about. How are we going to represent His messages?
Exactly.
We can't.
So we have to depend on what we feel. Am I correct? Ustazah, correct me if I'm wrong.
I think sometimes as Muslims, you forgot, like I said just now, we doubt ourselves we are the biggest self-sabotager. Is that even a word?
Yes,
Self-sabotager?
we can use that.
It's like, we are so hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
And then we're not able to stop our thoughts. We like, okay, what about God? Where does He come in? So it's I think sometimes we are so hard on ourselves, we forgot to cut ourselves some slack. We forgot to embrace ourselves. So in moments of doubt, I think I don't know who's listening to this episode. If ever you feel lost, I don't know, confused, you feel empty, find that light that's within you, that God has gifted for you. Find that light and just go back to it, and then just trust it. Just hold on to it.
It's not easy, but it is something that I think we have to remind ourselves to do, because just like every situation we are at in life, like how do you know in this job you're going to get that promotion?
Exactly.
You don't know.
You don't know.
You have to put in the work first. Then you will see how, right?
And we will never know. And that's what's beautiful about life, because we don't know. So we are literally just surrendering every bits of us, and like, God, you are our creator. We are literally just you move us. Sometimes you move us right, sometimes you move us to the left, sometimes you move us to the front, and we find answers. Why does God put us on the right side? Why does God put us on the left? But after we find answers, we have to find that core resilience, like, okay, I'm going to be okay with this. So figure out the answers, find out, do some soul searching, and then at the end, be okay with what you have.
Which is easy for us to say for us, because we are adults, right? We know what we feel. How can we translate this to our children, Ustazah? Like I have read before, macam children as young as 10, 11. I think that's the age where they are exposed to, not exposed, but they have access to media, to the internet and all that. So they read about a lot of other things. Sometimes we don't control what they read. So that's how they end up doing or learning about things that might be too sophisticated for their mindset, for their minds, for their little minds. So in cases like this, for children, I know there are many layers that we talked about, right? Humans have different layers, multifaceted and all that. But for young children, you might take a different approach.
Right. This is where for children, we are the adults, we are the parents, right? Or we are the guardians or the caretakers of the children. When the children come to you with doubt, that's where they're at the age where they kind of need some cushion form of certainty. So you cannot, at that age group, I cannot negotiate with them to discover more doubt. So if it's with my students, I can explore, why do you feel like this? I can question them. I can have that form of argument, negotiation. But for children, I'm reminded, we just came back from Bedok the other day. I have a 7-year-old. So he was eating his chicken rice, and then there was a big fly. I know this has nothing to do with faith, but this is like, a big fly was on his shirt. And then he kept pushing it, go away, fly. And then there was another child, also in school uniform, at the side. And then he saw that. And then that child said, you're a scaredy cat, you're a scaredy cat. I didn't know what happened as I wasn't there. I was just enjoying my tom yum. I think I was eating my tom yum. I was enjoying. I didn't know what happened. So he came to me crying, and he couldn't speak. He was crying, saying, Mama. I said, what's wrong? Are you hurt? What happened? Did you bite a chili? What's going on? Tell me. So this is a 7-year-old child. So at the end, he pointed the finger to that boy. He pointed the finger. I said, what's going on? So my daughter said, Mama, that boy called Afif a scaredy cat because Afif was afraid of the fly. And that boy showed the middle finger to Afif. Okay, at that point of time, I don't know whether I need to be a religious teacher or I need to be a kiasu mother or I need to be a dragon. I didn't know how to okay, which role do I play now, right? I mean, middle finger is a little too far. If you just, that's too much. So, why I brought this story was because my son was questioning. He was not hurt about the middle finger. He was hurt because now he's questioning himself if he truly was a scaredy cat. Because he kept saying, I'm not scared, right, Mama? I'm very brave. So that was doubt. That was
an example
of doubt. Mama, I'm brave, right? I'm brave. So he was telling me to remind him that he's brave. So at that point of time, I cannot ask him, do you think you're brave? I cannot do that kind of negotiation that I do with my students. So I say, okay, when was the last time you felt brave? This morning when I arranged all my weapons at home and I fought with Spider-Man. So at that point of time, you need to know what the children need. So if he's in a position where he's questioning himself as a young innocent soul, as a parent, you got to come in and save your child. So I was not bringing down or ridiculing the boy. I said what he did was not right, but let's focus on where how does Afif see Afif now? Oh my God, I said my son's name. Afif, how do you feel now? My youngest one. Because the question, Azzah, was not, Mama, I'm hurt. The question was, Mama, I'm not scared, right? That was doubt. So coming back to what we said from the start of the episode, doubt is part of our DNA. As young as 7, you're already questioning things. So for children, I think as parents, we have the responsibility to take care of the information that we share. So if they present doubt to you, you gotta have a good answer.
Thanks for being with us today, Ustazah. It's been delightful to have you again. We learned so much from you. Inshallah, next time we can invite you again.
Inshallah, Ameen.
If you like this episode, please follow Tune Islam, share and stay tuned for more. Assalamualaikum.